My name is Dr. Corey Altabet. I'm a chiropractor from Pennsylvania, and today I'm going to continue the information from Dr. McCullough's video about sprinting and sprinting warm-up and some techniques. And the first thing I want to do right now is explain some details about why it's so important to stretch these hamstrings, warm them up, the groin muscles, and the outer hip muscles as well. Now, Dr. McCullough went over the hamstrings quite a bit. Now I'm going to go into some more details about the groin muscles and why it's so important to get them warmed up to prevent injuries and things like that. So first off, we need to talk about the phases of running to know exactly why indeed these muscles are activated. And the groin muscles are considered adductor muscles. And the adductor muscles are responsible for taking your leg from here to here. And now we have the abductor muscles, which are responsible for taking your legs from here to here. Now, why are those muscles important in running? Because you're wondering, well, I'm doing this when I run, I'm not doing this. So why do I have to warm these up? Well, here is why, and it is vital. When you are in the push phase of your sprint, where you're pushing off with the right leg, say in this instance, you're pushing off. At that moment, when you plant, you go from here to here, the groin muscles and the outer hip muscles, the abductors and the adductors, are going to stabilize the pelvis. And this is how. You're standing on one leg, and if these muscles aren't stabilizing on the outer hip, what happens is the pelvis will fall down on the side. So these muscles hold up this side of the pelvis. So one more time, you can watch my hand dip down as these muscles give away on this side. You'll see they just dip right down. So they stabilize. So these go through a massive contraction when you plant that foot to stabilize that pelvis so it doesn't flop down. Now on the other end, you got the adductors, and what they do is when you're on one foot, they prevent your pelvis from swaying this way. And if you can see, if you're running, if you sway that way, it's not going to be a good idea. So ultimately, lots of massive contractions are going on in the adductors and the abductors out here. And the other important aspect is when you're in the swing phase of running. In the swing phase, you're about to toe off. At that very moment when you're about to toe off, in the early swing phase, the adductor muscle is stretched. And when a muscle is stretched to its longest point, when you're ready to kick that foot forward, it's going to assist in the contraction and bring this leg forward like this, because the adductors are going to attach here, down the inside of the thigh here, and they attach to the pubic bone. So when this foot's all the way back like this, it's pretty stretched out. And then it's going to assist in bringing this leg forward. Whoosh! So at this very moment, tremendous strength is required by those adductor muscles, even though they're not actually performing one of their true natures. So that's why it's so important. Now we know a few things about swing phase and push phase of running. Now we're going to basically go into the jog. And the jog is our warm-up. Essentially, we want to jog for about 2-3 minutes, more for some, depending on how well trained you are. And the importance of the jog is to get blood flow into the muscles, because it is that blood flow that creates warmth, and the warmth creates elasticity, and it is that elastic component that creates or prevents injuries, and it also creates intensity. So a nice warm and pre-stretched body is going to allow you to be more intense, which is what we're after here to produce our growth hormone, of course, and a whole bunch of other great effects that Dr. McCullough explained. So now, what I like to do in the jog is I start off really slowly. Now I'm going to jog in place, of course, because I don't feel like running away from the camera. You won't see me. So if I jog in place, you'll know what I'm talking about, even though I'm standing still. So first we do a very light jog, and essentially, as you get warmed up more so, we're going maybe a warm-up for about a minute or so. We're still jogging, and we're gonna transition into different types of jogging, where we're gonna go to something called high knees. And what the high knees does is it really warms up your hip flexors. You know, you can even get your hands out and slap them. Really make sure you get them nice and high. And then the other one, well, we can call this the next one, the ankle flick. And what that does is it gets your hamstrings warmed up while you're jogging, where you're going to kick your butt. So you're essentially going to flick your legs and kick your butt at the same time. And then you're doing that while you're jogging, of course. And those two techniques are great to really warm yourself up. Now I'm getting tired. So next is what we're going to do while we're sprinting, of course, or jogging. You can also accentuate your arm motion really high, and you're going to be swinging down. Now don't worry about getting yourself too tired, because ultimately when you sprint you'll really feel the tired. You'll calm down before you, because what we're going to do next now is the stretching. So you get a little bit of a period of a rest, but the stretching in itself is vital. And what we're going to do now is go over the active release technique of stretching. And it is extremely similar to Dr. McCullough's technique. In fact, they both accomplish the same thing. But today we're going to do something really cool. Is we're going to do the full stretch for all the muscles of running. And ultimately, it's going to be short, because we don't want to spend all day working out and spending hours stretching. So I came up with a routine that's really short, gets all the muscles of sprinting, and we're going to imitate all the motions of sprinting with the stretches, because ideally that's what you want. So first, what we're going to do is explain the concept of active release. So, for example, we'll just use the biceps muscle. When you contract the biceps muscle, the opposite muscle is going to be the release muscle. And in this case, the release muscle is going to be the triceps. And now, of course, we're going to use that triceps now that it's being stretched. We're going to use it to release this muscle. So we're going to warm it and stretch it at the same time, going back and forth. So extension, flexion, extension, flexion. And you can see how one releases the other. And then you use the released muscle actively again to contract, to release back the other muscle. And that contraction is not only warming the muscle and getting it ready for the stretch again, so it actually creates lots of warmth in the muscle. So this is truly a warm-up type of stretch. So next, we're going to actually show you now the type of stretching for running. That was just an example to explain the technique. So the first one we want to do, we'll just start with the groin muscles, okay? Right in here, and the abductors. And how we're going to do that is we're going to create a number 4. And very simply, like Dr. McCullough did, we're going to actively engage our groin muscles by bringing our legs from here to here, and then we'll go as far as we can, and you'll feel it in there. You'll feel these muscles, getting tight, and then you're going to assist with your hand, a little bit of a push. And of course, you can see I'm grabbing onto the pole. And for the most part, what you're going to need to do is have a fence nearby, a tree or something you can grab on, because we're going to do all these standing. It's going to be quick. So, once again, we're going to go from here to here, hold it. 2-second hold, you're going to push. And you're going to go out as far as you can go. And you're going to feel it in the butt muscle in the back. 2-second hold, go back the other way. 2-second hold, back the other way. You're going as far as you can. And remember, when you're going as far as you can, when you go to do the assist, you're also still contracting those muscles. So it's both at the same time. You're assisting and you're contracting to pull away from its origin. Just like that. And back and forth. Classic 10 times is perfect. Next stretch. So I've got the groin, the outer hip muscles. Next stretch, we're going to get the hamstrings, the calf, the quads, and the anterior leg, which is the anterior tibialis muscle, all in one shot. And here's how it's done. You're going to start off, leg all the way up. Now that's going to be your active muscle. All your hip flexor is going to be the active muscle at this point. And then from here, you're going to, and that's first that's going to stretch out all the muscles in the buttock. And now to get the hamstring, we're going to kick the leg forward as far as we can go. Now right now, these quads are kicking in and releasing the hams. So when the brain has this muscle contracting, the brain will automatically shut this one off. And that is the best time to stretch a muscle, when it's in its released state. And that's why some of these other types of stretching, it's not ideal, because if you're doing a classic hamstring stretch where you're going down, to let yourself down, the hamstrings have to stay in a contracted state. And that's not good. Same thing with these, these V-type stretches to do the groin. When you split like this, the groin muscles are all contracting, and that's not good. And that's why we come up with the active release type of techniques. So once again, we got legs up, pointing to the sky as far as you can go. At that point, use the quads and kick forward. And at that point, take your toes, point them to your nose, like that. So all three at one. Now you can do the assist by grabbing the toes, pulling them to your nose. And that'll get a little more assist to the hams, the butt, and the calf, all in one shot. And now from there, we're going to go straight back. We're going the opposite direction, because we're imitating all the running motions. We're going to go straight back, just like this. Grab our toe area here. And now actively, you're going to take the butt muscle, and you're going to drive that thigh back. You see how I'm driving that thigh back? And now, from here, you're going to point your toes up to the back of your head, just like that. And then you have the assist. 1, 2. And you're going to go back, up, stretch the hams, toes to the nose, grab, and you got the 2-second assist. 1, 2, and boom. So you're going back and forth. And that's going to have a tremendous warm-up ability for all these muscles, because you're using muscles. You're activating them. That releases the muscles, but it's also activating them. You're getting lots of blood flow in there. So essentially, this type of stretching is warming you up, not just stretching the muscles, and that's a big difference. And it really gets you ready for the intensity that we're about to do with some sprinting.